Suction fit lids are for wood turners. That's it. Unless you had, like a special box that you wanted, say, a little pill box you want to keep in your purse or your pocket or something like that, and you don't want stuff to spill out all over, you can make like a suction fit. Probably a screw fit would be better for something like that, though. So it's kind of an anomaly for wood turners, I think, is the suction fit lid. But it's a matter of, skill and expertise, and look what I was able to do. But the public doesn't care anything about that. So what I'm going to make is a box that's going to look kind of like this. This is a piece of cherry. I just turned one this afternoon, just to warm up a little bit. This actually is not a suction fit. I was trying for a suction fit, but when I was going for the flange here, I turned it a little bit off a little bit too much. It's real easy to do. So this one actually is assailable. Yeah. It's wet, and by the time it's dry, who knows what's going to happen to it. So, but that's the kind of fit that they like. It's just where you can just lift it off, but not super sloppy either. Just where it fits just right. And so it's going to look something like this. I'm just starting out with a piece of this is pretty fresh. This is a cherry. I don't know if it's Bing cherry or some kind of local fruit cherry. He's very terse in his explanations. He talks really quickly. He doesn't mince. He doesn't use a lot of words. But he says all you need to know if you listen carefully. So now I have it to round. I'm going to make a tenon on both ends. When you're making a tenon for your chuck, a lot of you probably know this, but when the jaws are fully closed, it's not wrapped. You want to get a perfect circle if you can. And the way that they manufacture lathe jaws is that they make it all one piece on a lathe itself. So it's this big ring. And then they take it to a machine and they slice it this way and they slice it this way. And there's a saw curve that goes through that. So what you need to find out is what width is that saw curve. It's usually about 1/8 of an inch. So if you open up your jaws to 1/8 of an inch, that's the optimum size of your tenon. So then you don't crush any wood, you don't make any marks on it, and you get the surface all the way around. If it's bigger than that, then the bigger it is, the closer you are to only touching on 8 points, and that's not great either. And it marks up the wood, it moves everything off center because the softwood's going to get crushed more than the hardwood, and all that. So it's better just to learn what the optimum diameter of your chuck is, both on the inside and the outside. If you're doing expansion, it's the same thing. And use that. And then what I've noticed when you do that, especially when you're using dry wood, is that when you get it in the chuck, you may as well be, if it's a hard dry wood, you may as well be clamping down on metal, because at a certain point, when you get to that perfect circle, you can't turn it anymore. Any other, if it's too big, you could turn it and turn it and turn it and turn it and crush it and crush it and crush it, but that's not really not what you want to do. Basically, I'm talking about dovetail jaws now. The one-way jaws, you have to crush it because the standard jaws on the one-way, because that's the way they make the jaws, is so that it bites into the wood. I've never agreed with that. Because the best kind of joint you can have, as any furniture maker will tell you is a dovetail joint because it's a mechanical joint. It cannot come out because it's bigger at the back than it is at the front. So you don't need anything else. All right, so that's... When you're making a tenon, you either want to have this dead straight, this shoulder here, or back cut a little bit. Because if it's anywhere like out this way or anything, then the only thing holding the wood together is the strength of the wood and the dovetail itself, but not, you need the leverage factor on the front of the jaws to keep it from being pulled out. So that's another real important thing to remember. Okay, so this is going to be the top. This is going to be the bottom. Now, so I'm going to take this and...
How come you don't party when you between center? How come you don't party when
because it's under tension, and you get binding when it starts to.
That's right.
Yeah. This way this just breaks away free.
Yeah,
and,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot it's under push.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just true this up a little bit. Especially on a small lathe like this, the truer you can get the wood, the least amount of vibration problems you're going to have. For a larger lathe, it doesn't matter. I've got a stubby weight 800 pounds. Doesn't matter. Okay, so let's see. All right, now I'm going to hollow the lid.
Can you tell us what tool you're using?
Sorry?
I can't see the tool.
Oh, okay. This is a half-inch spindle gouge.
What was the last one?
The last one was a 3/8 spindle gouge.
Conventional grind or the fingernail grind on this?
Sorry?
Conventional grind or fingernail grind?
Fingernail grind.
Fingernail grind.
Fingernail grind, right. Fingernail grind, and this is ground way back, almost flat. On the 3/8, it's a shallower flute. This particular 3/8, this is a crown. So you can get it, it's practically flat back. And the reason for that is that when you're doing, say you're doing finials or something else, you can get into a much tighter area because the wings are completely ground away. People think that this is really aggressive. It isn't. Especially since there's no wings to catch on anything. Mm-hmm. So, like if you're going in, to a real tight groove or something like that, you can get in there with this. You can't get in there with your standard grind. Mm-hmm. Person that flew me into that was Don Burnett a long time ago. We were at a Home and Garden show, and I just had a regular spindle grind, and he was making a goblet, long stem goblet. And he says, he asked me if that was my gouge, and I said, yeah. And he says, that's a shitty grind. John, right? Yeah. So I said, why is that? And he told me. And so I went home and I ground them all like that. And he was absolutely right. And anyone who does detail work will they all do this. Because you really don't need those wings sticking up at 45 degrees or whatever that is, because it's not necessary. All right, so...
Can we pass that other one around for...
Sorry?
Can we pass that around real fast?
Oh, the gouge?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so now I'm going to hollow this out a little bit. And basically I'm using a spindle gouge, using what, I don't know if you call it a back cut. I'm basically angling at 45 degrees to the left, and I'm cutting with the bottom wing here. And going from the center out and pulling out, because that's the way the grain goes. If you try to haul it like a bowl, it'll fight you tooth and nail all the time, especially if it's dry wood. So it's not the only way to hollow, but it's the way Stuart Mortimer hollows, for example. The other nice thing about having the wings all the way back like this, and if you have a real upright grind on the side, is you can drill a hole with this. Any spindle guide, you go in, and just push, and drill a hole. So that makes it easier. And then now you've got the middle out, which is the hardest part.
Which way was your flute pointing when you were doing that?
Flute is pointing to the left.
They're pointing to the left, that's right.
Yeah, about 45 degrees or so. If you go too much, then you're just scraping. But and I was getting vibration, so I opened it up a little bit. And then you get the nice shaving sound. And it's a very safe thing to do. Stuart Mortimer, when he's giving his demos, he's doing one of his deep thin things, and he's just going like this, and it's coming right down the flute. He's talking, he's not even looking. He's just it's just you can't really catch it because everything is trailing. They're always using the trailing edge. There's nothing to catch really except the tip right down the middle. So it's pretty easy. Okay, now I need to make the sides of the opening for the top, and those need to be parallel, completely parallel, if you want the suction fit lid. And the way to do that is to get these spring calipers this way. And so you go in straight. I've got a box scraper, which is 90 degrees. I just go straight in. And to see if those are parallel. Put these in. Okay, it closes a little bit at the back, so I need to, because I can see them spring and you can feel them. You need to open up a little bit at the back.
I think that's the top. I think that's the top.
This is the top. You do the top first.
Yeah, this is the top.
Yeah, you do the top first. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do the top first and do a little bit of the profile and take it down so that I don't have so much, because then I'm going to do the base, and then I'm going to jam fit the top on the base and finish the whole profile and take the top off and make the fit a little better on the tenon for the top. And take that off, and then finish the profile and bottom, part that off, use the excess to make another jam chuck, put the base on, finish off the bottom. That's the order that you do it in. If you do it, I did one last week and I hadn't done a box in a while, and I did bottom first, much harder. because then you,
So I'll be the plant.
sorry?
I'll be the plant. So why do you have, what's the difference? Why?
To the top.
Why does it matter to do the top first?
Well, basically, because you need the top done first, because when you're doing the bottom, then that's where you're making this angled tenon that the top is going to be jammed onto. And so you can offer up the top to the bottom while you're making it. That's really important. If you've already got the bottom made, it's backwards. You can do it, but it's a lot harder.
You don't keep rechecking,
Right. That's right. Yeah.
so it stays true.
All right, so I have to open it up a little bit in the back, so
Why,
since this is, sorry,
why did he keep it so parallel, so deep? Because the lip is very short, right? For the bottom.
right, because I want waste material here,
Oh, I see. You want
so that I can do a lot of the top while it's still in the chuck here, because I don't want to do all this when it's just jammed onto the
Sure,
bottom,
I see.
because it's more likely to come loose, and a lot of it is going to be across the axis and all that. So I want to do as much work as I can while it's being supported by the chuck.
It is possible to do without making it parallel beyond where it fits the tenon and have a rounded lid or whatever inside.
Oh, yeah,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
So in
Well-
this case, you want to just go in.
He's going to have it
Yeah,
straight
like
all
this
the way
one
up.
here, this is rounded.
It's
And,
actually rounded.
Yeah.
You just need parallel sides for
For the tenon.
maybe
Tenon,
a quarter of an
yeah,
inch.
exactly.
Yeah.
But in this case, you make it much deeper. You go-
Yeah, I did, right. But that's just a matter of design, because it doesn't have to be that deep. It only has to be. You just want to make it deep enough so that it doesn't bottom out on that male tenon on the bottom.
That's correct.